Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome in to the Morning Five on Wednesday, November 19th, 2014. I am Dave Biddle, and I am very happy to be joined by Tim May from the Columbus Dispatch. He's been on the Ohio State beat since 1984. That was my first year attending an Ohio State game, Ohio State-Michigan game that year, Rose Bowl team. Tim, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate you being on.
And thanks for making me feel old right off the bat, Dave. Go ahead now.
Yeah, you're seasoned. You're seasoned, and you're the dean of the beat, so I wanted to have you on and talk a little playoffs. Curious, from your perspective, you've seen it all. There I go, making you feel old again. Do you like this? First year of the playoffs, it's pretty cool. Everybody's caught up in it. What's your take? Do you like the 14 playoff?
I do like it from the standpoint of it's kind of like the baseball playoffs when they extended the wild card, and got a few more teams involved, and you've still got a shot. But, the fact there's going to be 4 teams, I think makes it a little bit more of a tournament feel, but I really do believe that the way things are going this year, it's opening people's eyes to 8 teams would make a heck of a lot more sense, because it would be, well, we can get into that later maybe, but you'd have 5 major conference champions and 3 wild cards. I think would really suit the bill, and but right now this beats nothing. And I was happy with the 2-team playoff. I grew up in the era watching Alabama football back in the 1960s when I was a little kid, and when basically there were 2 or 3 polls and they decided things, 2 polls mainly, Associated Press and UPI, and you could have 2 champions every year. And of course that followed right into the College Football Alliance, wherever that was, the first shot at it when the Big Ten and the Bowl Coalition, I think, when the Big Ten and the Pac-12 refused to join, and you had almost a championship game, and then of course the BCS put the top 2 teams together, which I thought was great. I had no problems going on into perpetuity with 2 teams being identified at the end of the year and playing for the championship. But I think this makes it more intriguing now, because not only do you have 4 teams involved, but you have people making the decision. Not that people didn't make the decision before. People forget the BCS formula was 2/3 based on 2 polls, 2 human polls, and 1/3 based on computers. Computers didn't decide it; the humans did. But now you've got 12 humans making the call, and that's the one thing that college football fans love to do more than watch football is argue about it. So I think the arguments
right.
The arguments will ensue after the top 4 are identified. But yes, I'm pleased with the way it's going so far. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, when they move to an 8-team playoff, and I agree with you, that's coming. I don't know when. I think eventually there will be an 8-team playoff, which, as you said, the 5 power conference champions will get in and 3 at large. What's going to happen, Tim? Then that 9th team is going to be complaining. The 10th team is going to be complaining. Look at the NCAA basketball tournament. They've expanded it to 68 teams. What do they do right afterwards? They have a big selection show talking about, or a big show after the selection show talking about the teams that got screwed out of the tournament. There's 68 teams. All right, so let's drill down on. But
the 68. I'm trying to remember when the 65 through 68 team ever won it, in this case, you got 5 major conferences who are legit conferences. Yeah, some of them are up, some of them are down, some of them are sideways, some of them are side-weighted. The SEC, you take the SEC West away from the SEC, and you've got a really mediocre conference with the SEC East, if you see what I'm saying. But if you had 5 major conferences represented, all with championship games, make the Big 12, add 2 more teams and have 12 teams, and you had, that would really involve, in the playoff situation, that would involve 5 more teams, because you'd have to win your conference championship, in my opinion, to get into the playoff, and then you'd have 3 wild cards. So really, if you went to 8 and made it the way I'm talking about, it would really be a 13-team deal.
Well, last thing before I let you go, I want to drill down on Ohio State's chances. Just kind of get your opinion on what you think. I've been going back and forth on this, but the more I think about it, let's assume Florida State wins out. Let's assume Oregon wins out. But let's assume that Ohio State wins out, and let's assume that TCU and Baylor win out. I'm starting to think now, Tim, that a 12-1 Ohio State team is going to end up jumping an 11-1 Baylor or 11-1 TCU team. And I think if Ohio State wins out, they're going to get in. Your thoughts? Do you think Ohio State needs help from the outside? What are your thoughts about Ohio State's chances?
Well, number one, you got to win out. That's number one. Number two, you left out Alabama because you figure Alabama's going to win out, right? So they're in. I think if Alabama, Florida State, and Oregon win out, they are definitely in. Then past that, I mean,
then.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I just assumed the SEC champs in. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. Let's real quickly. I know we don't have much time, but let's assume Missouri makes the SEC championship game and beats Alabama.
Oh, that's true.
Missouri got beat by Indiana earlier in the year. You know what I mean? I mean, you could really see a scenario where the SEC does get left out, but it is a very small window there. But I digress. Yeah, I mean, it always helps to have help in a situation to make it clearer. But I think the committee would have a very huge conundrum on their hands, choosing between the Big 12. They consider the Big 12 best team and the Big 10 best team, especially if it's Ohio State. I think they would both of them with one loss. I think it would be a very tough decision because let's face it, the Big 10 rep is going to, especially Ohio State's going to turn on a lot more televisions and put a lot more fannies in the seats. And Dave, no matter how you twist it and turn it, major college football is still a regional impact sport. And that's why I really thought this year you weren't going to see two SEC teams like a lot of people have been projecting, because I really think this is the year of inclusion where they want to get the whole country watching at least those semifinals. We'll see if that plays out.
I agree with you. That it's going to be 4 of the 5 power conferences champions are going to get in. One's going to be left out. And just to put you on the spot, if it does work out, 12-1 Ohio State, 11-1 TCU, 11-1 Baylor, and only one of those teams can get in, who do you think is getting in?
I think if Ohio State ends up going 12-1 and beating Wisconsin, let's say in the Big Ten championship game, that would be a huge victory at exactly the right time. Maybe beating the possible Heisman Trophy winner in Melvin Gordon. So
right.
I think Ohio State. Personally, I think Ohio State gets in, but stranger things have not happened.
I'm with you, my man. I have so much respect for you. I consider you a friend. You're great at what you do. Thank you so much for taking time. I want to have some Ohio State media on the show here, and I wanted to start with you. And thank you so much, Tim May. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, Dave Biddle.
Bucknutters, have a great day. Take it away, best damn band in the land.